Okay, it is time to achieve some super big goals. This guy's gonna be video for me today for today's course. And this is such a serious day. So we're gonna get everything lined out. I'm gonna go over head to tail what I'm gonna do to start this journey with Baby Flo getting as fit as she can possibly be for the upcoming rodeos. This is so serious to get her as healthy and fit as I can possibly get her while keeping her sound and not getting body sore, which is it's a big trick. It's raining outside, so we're gonna do everything inside today. It's not my preference, but we're gonna do it. I'm gonna first look over her body and show you guys some things to look for before we get started. And get out your notepads. Let's do this. So this is Baby Flo's current physique. As you can see, it's breeding season here. So we've been flushing embryos off of her. Her goat goes everywhere with her. But this is her current condition. She has some pretty good muscle tone. We need a lot more muscle tone than we have right now. We need to build up these hips right here because this is where the motor comes from. She always stays really strong in the shoulder, but we're going to try to do the most that we can back here so we can keep her as sound as possible. Her feet are a little long because we've let her just take time off. And her underline looks pretty good, but for her, she's a lot faster when she's a lot leaner. So we are going to work on overall muscle and fitness of this area here and here. It's time to get started, and I am going to, unfortunately, Flynn hasn't learned how to be in the barn without being in the way, so she's got to be held right now. This is pre-performance and post-performance pace that I use on the road. This is by Forerunner, or it's called Forerunner, it's by Forefront. This is something that I'm going to use all the time because it's going to help her not retain a lot of lactic acid in her muscles, and I'm going to go really hard today. So because I'm doing that, I'm going to give myself the very best chance I can to not sore this mare up as I go. Baby Flo does get really muscle sore when I start getting her legged back up, and it's something that you guys may run into. So I'm going to start with giving her 20 cc's of this. I think this has 5 doses or 4 doses in it, and it's 20 bucks. So it comes out to about $4 or $5 a dose. It's a lot cheaper than going with like a GastroGuard or an ulcer guard or something like that. It's a preventative. It is not a treatment for that. So that's something that you guys can go with. Now this is how my mare is. She's super, super hot. Lazy horses are gonna be worked about the same, but we're gonna start in the same spot. I'm gonna use my competition saddle on her and my competition pad. I use a foam bottom pad. I used to ride cutters when I was a little kid. I really like foam bottom pads. Cowboy who's filming, he washes them off and can keep them really clean. That's what I like about them. So I'm using all my competition gear today. Now I'm gonna change that when I do my next session on her tomorrow. But for today, I'm gonna be riding in my normal saddle. I'll go with a heavier saddle as we increase the workload, just because I have a theory about building muscle and building stamina, and I like her to carry more weight and then back the weight off into our competition gear as we go. But I'm going to start light today because we've got to go increase up and build that muscle back. We're only going to put bell boots on her today. I'm using my Dynamic Edge bell boots because they fit her the very, very best. I've done an overall check of her body. She looks like she is just a little bit muscle sore, or maybe just tight in the front end from being off and not doing much with her body. So I'll bear that in mind. But today we're going to really work on building this up and getting this underline. Like I said, she does the very best when she's the leanest. Nope. So we'll work on that for sure. Now I'm going to run over here and show you guys the bridle that I'm going to use for today. And this will be for a lot of days. So Cowboy, because he rides our colts here and starts all of our colts, has us set up with really great split reins, D-rings, O-rings. I'm going to go with this one that is twisted for this time because I know that this mare is going to be fresh and pushy. So I'm going to go with a twisted mouthpiece today. Baby Flo rides with her head way up in the sky, and she's pretty naughty. But this is what I'm going to keep on her. Now, I run her in a cavesson to keep her mouth shut, and I run her with an O-ring with a square mouthpiece. And I'm going to do something that's a little bit more severe because I don't want to be pulling on her all day. I want her to not be annoyed by me. I want to be able to say a command with my hands and legs and her to be under control instead of just pushing and pushing and pushing on my hands and us being in a tug of war, because it's going to do something to my temper, because you guys can already see she's super pushy on the ground. She's worried about her friend. She's worried about her goat. You guys will probably have a horse like this. And in order for our tempers to not be like up here and like, oh, I'm just trying to get this mare in shape, we can actually do some training together. So before we start out this training session for today, I know what I want to accomplish. I want to do a lot of backing with her. And I want to do a lot of long trotting around the arena. I want to break a sweat. probably won't do more than 8 minutes. So I have my Apple Watch on. I'm gonna set a timer and I'm gonna go for 8 minutes as much as I can. If I'm constantly fighting her at the long trot, I'm gonna go ahead and allow her to lope, but she's probably gonna buck today because she's being so feisty. So that's my 2 goals to accomplish: a lot of backing and 8 minutes of aerobic activity. If you don't have a plan when you go to the practice pen, you're not gonna accomplish anything. You're just gonna ride to ride. And this is just a really short amount of time. We can get a lot accomplished. She does this before she runs, when she gets her heart rate really high up. So I know that she's going to be a handful today. Plus it's raining and you can hear the little droplets on the roof and it's raining harder and harder. And when it does that, it gives her some anxiety. So I know that I'm starting off with this. I'm not going to create a fight just because I know what temper she's already starting off with. So I'm going to go ahead and administer this. And I'm going to ride right now. So the time frame generally is a half an hour, but because I'm going to ride right now, and I want to film everything exactly how I'm doing it, I'm going to go ahead and give it to her right this minute. There's a little bit left on this tube. Go ahead and give it to her again. And just wipe that off. The goat will come with us just because she is pretty attached to the goat, and I know that she's having a rough day of getting started back. This is the biggest break that she's ever had. So because I know she's going to be a handful, that's how we're going to start. The reason I don't use splint boots on her is I'm trying to differentiate that this is not a rodeo run. I want the routine to be a little bit different. I want her to feel a little bit less anxiety as much as I can, that we're not about to go do anything fast. Okay, I have the luxury of riding in an indoor arena, and you probably don't, right? So what would I do? Show them the rain, cowboy. What would I do if it was pouring down rain and I had this amount of time before I had to get to the gym to ride this mare and get her in the shape of her life? The answer is I would ride in the rain. If this was not my facility and I didn't have this, I made it to 7 NFRs before I ever had an indoor facility. So don't let your circumstances determine your dedication. If you're willing to ride in the rain, just letting you know, if you're gonna run at Cheyenne, Wyoming or Pendleton, Oregon or any of those rodeos, you're gonna do it in the rain. So you might as well let your horse get accustomed to that. Because I'm videoing this for you guys and I have the luxury of an indoor facility with lights that I'm blessed to have and I worked really hard for, I'm gonna ride in here, but that would not stop me under any circumstances from getting this mare ridden outside. I've got big goals to go rodeo this month. I probably legitimately only have 2 weeks to get her in the shape of her life. And it's gonna be really hard to do. However, I can do it. I've got a big schedule. I've got to get to the vet today. I've got to get to my accountant's office. I've got to go to work. I've got to work on ranch dressing. I've got to get to the gym to meet Daniel. All of those things I'm doing today, but I'm still able to get this in. It's only going to be about 12 minutes tops. So make sure that you do that. And being out in the rain is not the worst thing ever. I've ridden in the snow. I've ridden in all sorts of things. I think it's good for these horses. So with that being said, let's get to riding. I 100% of the time ride in a helmet. Cowboy has never seen me ride without a helmet, I don't think. Have you? Am I lying?
Nope.
I might be.
Oh, I've never seen it.
I don't throw a leg over him without a helmet on. 1, role model status. 2, I feel different when I don't have it on. I've already been through the pain of feeling like a gun soul with a helmet on, so that's no longer a big deal. Stormy takes these dadgum things up every time, so I let them all the way out and then can't take them upright. But make sure they're adjusted. There's no point to wear a helmet that is on the back of your head and loose and all those things. There's no point in even wearing one. Wear it, adjust it correctly, because that's what they're for. Put the heel on the back, I'll pull it down, dial it back. You'll notice the barrels are set up. I probably won't go around one today. I'll probably just leave them be. Because I am working on fitness. Again, if I don't have a plan, I'll just be out here riding willy-nilly. Half an hour will go by. My other responsibilities won't get taken care of. And again, she's horrible on the ground. I skipped steps. You guys don't do this if you're starting your own colt. That's why Cowboy has a job. Is because I don't want my colts like this anymore. I want them all to stand still when I get on them, etc., etc. All right, I'm going to start with backing today because I know she's going to be bad. So I'm going to go ahead and engage her I'm not gonna pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. I'm gonna hold steady. She's done this before, so she's good at it. And I'm gonna go the length of the arena. Now, she's being nasty about throwing her hips all over the place. That's not my goal. My goal was to do backing. If we back in zipper shapes all the way down this arena, so be it. My goal, remember, starting, was to back down the arena. So however we get there, and she's sold up right now. She's mad. I'm just holding steady pressure. I'm not pulling on this mare. I'm not seesawing in her mouth. I'm not putting any leg pressure on her. I'm just sitting here, and I'm gonna wait her out. You have to out-patience them. That's what Trisha always says. So I'm just gonna hold on to her and wait for her to just, your horse will do this. They're gonna be mad, mean, and doing the deal. Now I'm gonna add just a touch of leg pressure and ask her to come back. I'll release her head just a tick, but I'm still asking for this backwards motion. We're in the middle of a dog fight, cowboy. I'm losing. Let me get her hips straightened up. Really loose on this pressure. You guys see I just have one finger on the rein. I readjusted my rein pressure and asked for less. And she gave me more. Let her sit right here, calm down. I'm gonna back again down to the other side. And again, her hind end is all over the place. Tomorrow, I'll ask for a better way down to the end, but today, the goal is just to start somewhere. Just so mad that I really just want to get accomplished a couple of times down the arena and long trot her. And she's mad because she's been on vacation. None of us like Mondays. So this is her Monday. Welcome back. Getting angry at her is not going to help. And she already has that really sassy attitude. It will only make things worse if I match her attitude level. So make sure you're in a really great state of mind. And I already knew what she was gonna be like when I got on her. So now I'm looking, it's 10:45. I'm gonna try to trot her until 10:53. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm asking for a long trot. Now, as you can see, she's giving me this weird high-headed little gait. And what I'm gonna do is spread my hands apart with my split reins and just hold steady pressure. I'm not pulling, ripping on her mouth, asking for anything crazy. I am not even asking her to lower her head, because at this point, remember, the goal is just to get her out of the stall, start somewhere, long trot, and back up down the arena. I really don't care what it looks like at this point, because we're gonna mold it into something really great. And if I pick on her at this point, I'm gonna have a horse that's really angry, that doesn't want to work for me, that's gonna get really sore and frustrated, that doesn't know that the ultimate goal is really just me getting her back in shape. So we'll be a lot nitpickier later on, but for right now, I'm really just looking for a horse to go around, loosen up those shoulders. You can see that they're really, really tight right here. And, you know, I've got a horse that's got her tail out. She's pretty angry, got her ears pinned. And not angry, just, it's her Monday. So she's just like, ugh, I'm not into it. So when I go around the arena, I check my Apple Watch, I see how long I've been, and then I go back and I'll go 4 or 5 times around the arena one way, and then 4 or 5 times around the arena the other way. She's being really, really soft for her in my hands, and staying behind the bridle a little bit. So I'm actually really pleased with her as we go. Now, as we get to the alleyway with the barrels set up, you can see her swish her tail and start to want to kind of lope off. Now, I would have forced her to trot if I thought that it would be beneficial for her mind. But right here, I went ahead and said, okay, if you want to speed up, but you're not really pushing on me, you'll see my body is able to loosen up, my hands are able to loosen up, and I'm able to get this really pretty little tiny lope out of her, which as you watch, you'll see her settle in. She'll quit swishing her tail when she gets to the alleyway. She'll quit dropping her shoulder in. All of these things that we would correct, but for the perfectionists in this group, if you're a student that has that OCD of, oh, my horse dropped its shoulder in the turn, my horse's head isn't in the right place, my horse isn't doing everything perfect, just remember, you're probably going to regress, not progress. and it's going to be really hard for you to let go of, but understand that you're training an animal. So you need that animal to just have a reward at any moment that you can latch onto something and say, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Then you can build from there. So it's all building blocks. If you can just say, yep, that's what I was looking for. And for her, I'm just doing these big giant circles where her attention is not all the way on that goat and her attention is more on me, and she's just a little bit behind the bridle. For me, that's a win. So I say, okay, this will work. You can still see her swat her tail when she gets by the alleyway because she thinks she's going to go to the left barrel first, to her first barrel. But you'll see what I do a little bit later with that also. The reason I'm going in giant big circles and not little bitty circles is because I'm going to be doing a lot of conditioning. This is a horse that already knows how to turn circles, and I am really, really careful to not burn out those stifles and hocks. And as a barrel racer, I love circles, and I love to do circles, and I love to work on circles. And I find that I get body sore, Babyflo gets really body sore, and if I had a track or I wanted to go outside to film this for you guys, I would do it in as straight of lines as I could possibly do it. Just so I am keeping the integrity of the hocks and the stifles in check. I'm not wearing on anything unnecessarily, and I'm doing, I'm asking her to lengthen that stride. If we're constantly doing circles, we're constantly asking for them to shorten that stride down, and to have a stride that is collected all the time. We never really practice that bigger sweeping, leaving the barrel stride. So I try to do that where I can keep her, way stretched out, working on that underline, always thinking about that speed, always in the back of my mind, because Babyflo is a super athletic horse, and her forte is that little bitty tiny quick athletic turn. So I'm trying to focus more on building that long lean muscle, and having a horse that's really, really ready to activate that hind end, which is why we started out with backing. So I'm probably going to try to surprise her a little tomorrow. I won't open with backing. I'm going to write myself out a whole new plan. I will have worksheets for you guys to download with this lesson in the worksheet section, so that you can download a PDF to take with you to the practice pen and just write out what your goal is, and what your time goal is. So for her right here, this is going really, really well, and I'm surprised by how soft she is behind my hands. So I'm going to go ahead and stop her. I'm seeing a lot of sweat on her at this point, and seeing her get really, really soft. I'm going to be able to have it better tomorrow if I find the perfect place to quit right now today. And this is definitely it. Got a lot of sweat coming through. She's got her heart rate up, and she looks really good. Now, to confuse the situation a little bit, instead of going to the left barrel first and going to sit there, I'm going to sit her at the right barrel first. Just so she treats the alleyway a little bit differently. She's not going to know exactly why I'm doing this, obviously, because she's a lefty. So I'm just going to step off of her right here. And again, she swung her butt around, which is not correct when I went to get off of her, but I'm not picking on that. I am just doing the things to reward her in this moment so that tomorrow I can build a more disciplined program. All right, we're back in the barn. This is where I'm going to go ahead and untack her. I'll go through my whole routine that I'm going to do with you guys. The main thing I want her to do is cool off slowly, because this is her first time back. It's about 75 degrees outside with some humidity. I know it seems really crazy. I know this mare like the back of my hand. When it's humid, she sweats more, and I have a harder time at rodeos, attack, when it's humid. So it's good for me to work her during this weather. As you can see, her goat is a guard goat. So it's good for me to work her in this humidity to get her built back up, because it is a weather that she's just really not crazy about. Hey. When I watch this video, I'm going to be so mad at you. I'm going to be so mad at you. It's like coming after me. It kind of hurts. So one thing I'm going to do is run out here in the rain and rinse her off. All right, I'm always going to start at her legs, so knees down. Cody, show them those beautiful babies in that pasture. My God, they're cute. We got De Niro babies, we got Slick babies, we got Flow babies. We got Uzi babies. God, that blue roan is awesome looking. Okay, so knees down. And as you can see, I'm just keeping myself entertained. The reason we do it from the knees down is a racehorse trick to make them cool off slower. You don't want to go all over their body right now. You want to go hocks down, knees down. just let this mare's body temperature regulate. I don't want to do anything that would harm her or throw her into colic. Horses colic for no reason anyway. I darn sure don't want to add anything to it. Also, giving her, because I'm putting my thumb over it, giving her a short form of turbulation. We love to do turbulation on front legs, back legs, hooves, anywhere, because water hydrotherapy, when it beats on there, not only does it get oxygen through the skin, but it will generate a little bit of tension around the leg to cause more blood to come to that joint. The more blood that we have, the more oxygen we have flowing through the veins, the more we can heal anything that might be potentially wrong in there. With a performance animal like this one, something's always going to be a little bit wrong, not necessarily wrong, but you know, she's going to do a lot of wear and tear on her body, just like I do lifting in the gym all the time. Now that I've done this a little bit, now I'm ready to move to her back. I do everything from the top down just because that's just how I do it. Everybody washes a horse different. And when you watch somebody wash a horse off, I know you guys get a little crazy. Because there's times when you're just like, oh my God, let me wash it. I can't stand how you wash this horse. But that's just how everybody is. I really pay attention to her backside and get that sweat out of that backside, because you can chase these horses really, really easily by not cleaning up underneath here and between the cheeks. Some horses on the racetrack, they even baby oil the cheeks in the back because they don't want it to chafe while they run and not run as hard. So just an idea. There's so many little tricks. I think it's super important to not wash a horse with soap and water every single day. It makes them really itchy on their pores. You'll see that I didn't wash off her face. Again, I'm just trying not to tick her off today. But this week, as we do this journey, you're gonna see me scrub her down, add some things to her bath. That's gonna help her with body soreness. But for today, we're just gonna do it with water. There's a little trick that I have that'll make her not roll also, but we'll leave that for another course. This is just step one. When I got her from out of the trailer from the breeding farm, she nicked herself in the trailer on the way. I'm not endorsed by Spurs Big Fix in any way. However, I keep some around all the time. So I'll go ahead and address those two little places that we had back here. Spurs also has kind of a, it's got an antiseptic agent in it, but it also has a liniment agent in it that's really, really good for their legs. So using it frivolously is at the top of my list because it's a great all-around product. And again, they don't endorse me in any way. I just really like their product. Flies get on wet horses in the humidity, so I make sure and hit her with fly spray before I put her back in her stall because she's already going to be itchy and want to roll. I'm going to put her on this body flow vibration system. I'm probably going to do, let's see, it's 11. I think I'm going to do 8 minutes on the vibration therapy plate also. And again, all we're trying to do is increase that blood circulation as much as we possibly can to keep the lactic acid out. That's why we gave the paste. That's why we washed her off. That's why we turbulated her legs just briefly. All of those things are to just constantly increase circulation. With the vibration therapy system, it's going to zap lactic acid, which means tomorrow she'll be not sore, she'll be easy to ride, and it will also increase bone density, which means I'll have a stronger horse at the end of the day. So let's put her on this. This is called the Body Flow. My dad makes this. There's many of these on the market. My dad will finance these for you if you want one. He hand makes them himself, and I have one in my horse trailer built into the Black Mamba. I put it on speed 70. And I kick my shoes off and get on it too because it helps with muscle on me and blood circulation, bone density, loss of cellulite, all sorts of things. Helps me because I'm about to go to the gym too, so it's a great way to warm up. Okay, so my 8 minutes is almost up. I'm gonna tie her in the stall with her goat. Cowboy will turn her loose later. I will give her a sip of water before I tie her up, and then she's only going to be tied up for about 30 to 45 minutes before we turn her loose in the stall. I'm not going to do anything else with her today. I'm not going to add any more liniments to her legs. I'm not going to do anything else because we want to increase the routine slowly. We don't want to agitate her with being in her face. She's had all this time off. We want to make sure that it's a really pleasant experience and that she doesn't feel like every single time I'm going in the stall that I'm going to pick on her. I think that we forget that. Like, imagine if you've had anybody in the emergency room. My dad was just in the emergency room, and it was like he was trying to rest, and every 5 minutes somebody was coming in the room to check his vitals or give him a dose of this or give him a dose of that or look over that or help him to the bathroom, and he really just wanted to rest. So recovery is the most important part. I know with me working out, my cortisol levels get really funky if I don't sleep enough, and then I carry gut weight. It's not the same for horses, but if they don't get enough rest and ample time to just rest and relax, it's going to be really hard for her to recover right for tomorrow. And we're going to push through just as hard as we possibly can. This is going to be a hard and fast journey to get back on the winning track. I'm 18th in the world standings. I may try to move myself on up a little bit. So stay tuned for tomorrow's lesson. Okay, one tidbit that I left out that I feel like is super, super important to add to this course, and I'm just coming from the vet. Again, I'm doing everything all the time just like you are. So don't feel like you're left out. I love the book, The One Thing. I've told you guys that book 1,000 times. Read The One Thing. Read The One Thing. It will teach you why I got on Babyflos first and did not get on any other horses before I dealt with her, because she's a lot to put up with. She's a lot of horse. She's potentially going to tick me off. She's going to make my anxiety level go through the roof with the way that she behaves on the ground. And being hot. Now today was a great day for her, but had I gotten on 3 colts before I got on her, or if I had started doing other things in the barn before I got on her, my day would have gotten away from me and I would not have given so much attention to her needs and remembered that she had those little scratches on her legs and remembered little bitty things of my routine. So not to get too way off in the distance, but this is things that will set you apart from your competitors. So being more knowledgeable, being more focused, not just on the day that you compete, but on the days that you train for these things, makes you a superior competitor, and it's very, very important. So make sure that when you do your one thing in the barn, if that one thing is to get Babyflos in shape for the for the upcoming rodeos, then make sure that that's the first thing that you do. I had Cowboy clear the barn out from colts and babies and anything else that would be distracting to me and my mare. Just got into my happy zone, did the 15 or 20 minutes with her, and just let it ride. At some point we will go to 2-a-days, but right now that's where we're going to start for this lesson. So hope you took lots of notes. I can't wait to see your progress. Take some before and after pictures of your horse's glutes, of their physique from the side, and let's see how much we can improve in 2 weeks.